All right. Welcome everyone to the second episode of the series called Go Live, uh, where the focus is how do we bring in interesting conversations from our customers to highlight success stories, how they have leveraged generative AI, large language models to build something which has been very successful in their business, something that they've taken to their customers, and finally something that they've actually gone live with in production. Very learning session. Looking forward to today's session. I'm your host, Rishabh, founder of GoML. If people don't know what GoML does, just as a brief introduction, GoML is one of the very, very niche Gen AI solutions providers. We are strong partners with AWS. We've built close to 80 plus use cases in the last 2 years on Amazon, leveraging generative AI models. And I'm going to probably bring in one such very interesting conversation with a guy who is an author, right? Who's a technologist, who's a TEDx speaker, uh, who runs his own consultancy, by the way, which I'm assuming I'll get free access to after this session as a virtual CTO or a fractional CTO, helping companies understand how they can grow their technology practices. With over 3 decades of experience in technology in areas like finance and wealth management, I'm more than happy to welcome Václav today on the session where he has a very, very, very interesting use case to talk about today that he is building with his latest venture at Hiswai. But enough said, Václav, I'll hand it over to you. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and we'll dive deeper into the use case?
Perfect. Thank you very much. Appreciate what a glamorous intro. I would like to know that guy too. Uh, so my name is Václav, and I've been with computers for a long time. I started working with computers before there were really any computers. I started in high school, and one of my summer jobs was the operator on a mainframe. So that's how geeky I was, while other guys were running around. During summer, I was working in a close room with air conditioning, perfect temperature. That's why I like indoors rather than outdoors. Uh, and I studied electrotechnical engineering. Then I was working for Nokia for some time in Finland. I was working on the first switching systems for mobile phones. And then I moved to Canada, where I was working for a company. We were doing control systems for gas pipelines. That was very interesting. That's where I really learned about the importance of quality assurance, QA, because if you didn't do it properly, there would be explosions, dead people, fires, bad PR, millions of dollars lost. So QA is very important, dear to my heart. And then I started my own IT consulting firm, which I have now, more than 30 years. I don't know if it's accomplishment or just bad habit. And along the way, I worked with so many technologies. We partner with small, large organizations. We work for, as I say, Fortune 50 and the unfortunate 50,000, and anything between, all the imaginable industries. And and along the way, I learned how, as much as I like technology, technology is always secondary to good business or business. You have to lead with good business, with good strategy, good ideas, and then technology is here to really support this. So that was after all these years, the learning that as much as I like computers, I understand that they are here to help us to solve business problems.
That's a brilliant introduction, first of all, Václav. I'm impressed because you worked on two of the most critical components of any technology that has seen the face of this earth, mainframes and then QA, right? But I do agree, probably we don't consume mainframes as much as we were doing probably a decade back, but it still probably forms the transformation or the base of any kind of technology that we still run, right? But what obviously we'd love to understand today is the latest venture that you actually probably are onboarding, right? And it's very close to my heart because I've been in different roles, right, in sales, leadership, right, pre-sales, technology, and whatnot, right, horizontals. And one of the biggest challenges that probably at least I faced, and I'm pretty sure a lot of our customers also face, is what you're trying to solve is how do you make sense of the data, the unstructured data, right? That we actually have, the vast unstructured data that we actually have, that we use in our day-to-day lives. How do we make sense of that? And number two, how do we probably start building on top of this data, which is much more consumable in any of our roles, right? So why don't you probably dive a little deeper in terms of what's your vision at Hiswai right now? What's the problem statement that you're trying to solve, and how you're trying to do that?
Yes, great question. Uh, I've been thinking about search for a really long time. It's probably longer than I would like to admit. And I saw when there were the first search engines, the meta search engines, and then suddenly out of nowhere came Google and basically cleaned the field, and there's no real competition. Bing doesn't count. And they really try to do search well, and they accomplish many things. But when you look at currently what search is, Google still, despite we call it search engine, it's a marketing engine which matches people who search for something with advertisement. So it's a big advertising machine. And if you think about when you not when you want to do some quick search, but if you need yes/no answer, that's Google is great for it. But the moment you're trying to do any particular research on topic or multiple even, that's when you suddenly run into these strange things. So you open the Google console, you put your keywords in, and then you get, I don't know, 1,000, 500,000 links. And then you start clicking on link after one after another, and you go maybe 2-3 pages deep, maybe 4 if you are really into it. And before you know, you have 10, 20, 30 tabs open in your window with various type of content. And then, of course, how do you make sense of that content? And so that's the one problem. How can you search now across all your tabs? It's very difficult. Now imagine that you have to repeat the search. You like to continuously look for something. Well, how do you know which links you already visited? Now, of course, the famous swear words is when you close the window and you use all the tabs, all the words. So how do you restore that? How do you go back? Some people result into bookmarks, but that's also very artificial way how to keep information. And then if you want to bring it to yourself, what do? You do screenshots, you print to PDF. What are the methods to solve to preserve the content? And of course, another last item here is how do you share the result of your search with your team, with your coworkers? None of these things after all these years, any of the search engines, and Google is at the top, ever solved. So that's something which we started working on this way for some years ago, and we address all these things. And then with the advent of large language models, and there were other tools before that. That's one thing which people don't remember anymore. But there was already technology called natural language processing, which done many things which we see today. But the large language models definitely sped up some of the deployment of the ideas, if you will, or some of you could build features in the system which you could not do easily with the technology before. So this is the problem where there's so much information out there, and how can you keep track of and do a research into topics which are important for either professionally, making money, what have you. Everybody has a different reason why they would like to search and understand areas of their topics.
That's actually, I mean, I think you probably put the problem statement in the best format possible, right? And anyone who probably uses a lot of data today, including myself, or probably even folks who are listening into this webinar, right? On a day-to-day basis, I think probably we spend anywhere, and that's probably a number published by Gartner as well, like executives today specifically, right, spend almost close to 20 to 25% of their day-to-day time in searching, right? And this could happen across, Google, and obviously now we have the likes of Perplexity as well, which are probably making some of these things easier, right? But when we probably look at leveraging the search data now today, right, Vaslav? So what's your point of view and how probably that, or the solution that you've actually built, right? How is it now probably solving the problem of getting to the point information, the problem statement that you were highlighting, right? Like a search today probably doesn't give me to the point information. It's more of a marketing agent, right? Marketing assistant, right? Number one. And number two, how does it also adopt to certain extent to the persona that I'm carrying, right? So probably today, I as an executive, and that again is a bigger challenge when you come to search engines, right? I, from one perspective, right, as a seller might want to, if I'm asking probably what is the, latest, tax numbers, right, or taxpayers numbers, etc. I'd love to probably understand that data from a different lens because I want to build my sales engine on top of it. Versus a banker would want to probably understand that or would want a different output on top of it. Right? So how is your solution probably trying to address these two challenges?
Great question. So imagine when you start, looking into something, then actually you don't know what exactly you're looking for. You get prompted by the content, so all your questions become better within context of what you're looking and what the information which you find. And so as you interacting with Hiswai, because you can create your own dashboard, or you can actually many dashboards, you can create many dashboards. And each dashboard can be focused on particular topic. And as the system start gathering the content for you, you can suddenly say, oh, yes, this is important, but this is more, I need this information in this context. So you start creating context within which you're looking for something, because what I learned over the years, and I work on similar projects where you might be looking for within the same area of information, you might be looking for something, but as you're learning more and more, the context is changing. And this is where, again, by basically interacting with the information, you can define or redefine and finalize the context within which you're looking for the information. So then you can really start focusing on one particular area, which at this particular moment will help you to make better decision or will educate you better, whatever the use case for yourself is. And then the beauty is that once you finish with that, you still have all the content of which you gathered so far. And then you can change the context, and suddenly new information comes out and say, this is something which I had not considered. And so you imagine that like this is the pile of information, and then you can keep turning and seeing from different perspectives. That's what the system allows you to do that.
Brilliant. So if I'm getting it right, like Vaslav, what you're saying is that unlike a search engine, right, where you just have one-way conversation, so you ask a question, then you probably get the responses, right? Your solution primarily allows or makes this more conversational, where you're not just probably getting dumped with results, but you also have an option to now probably dive deeper, play around with that data, build context so that you get the right information at one point of time, which is very, very relevant to you.
Yes. So what's missing today in the marketplace is having you collect content which is relevant to the topic you are interested in, and then you start interacting with it. Right? None of the Google doesn't do that. Perplexity doesn't do that. No, nobody does it, because and this is the tagline for Hiswai is we want to build personal web, something which is truly unique just to you, nobody else. Because at this particular moment, you are the most important person who needs to do something. And so what we're building is something which is relevant to you, and we bring the information to you, and then you can interact with the information. So it's we bringing back the idea, the concept of personal computing. We lost that. over the years, we mentioned the mainframe, and suddenly there was, PC eventually end up on our desktops, and it was the time when you truly had your own computer with everything was on that computer. And if you think about it now, we actually, I don't want to say lost it, but it went completely different direction. You don't own anything anymore. Everything is somewhere in the cloud, owned by somebody else. It's harvested by somebody else, and you are kind of byproduct of everything. Right? So we trying to completely turn this around and say, no, this is just for you. It's your personal computing, it's your personal web.
As you say, right, Václav, and that's why probably this solution interests me a lot. That data is a boon and a bane. Boon, obviously, when probably you have the right data, relevant data to yourself, and obviously bane is what probably a lot of these large language models today do is they're trained on massive set of data, and probably most of the times the outputs that we get is gibberish as well, right? So absolutely excited. I'm more interested in also understanding, and probably our viewers as well, is that how do you think, or probably what was that amalgamation of bringing that thought or the problem statement into the right technology fit, right? So where or how did you probably start thinking of the right tenets of the tech that you wanted to implement? And obviously, how did it probably start, bifurcating into probably leveraging what type of models that you're going to build this on? So how was that decision tree built, Vaslav? If you can probably give an overview.
This is the interesting thing. Somehow the technology choices are, at least to me, they are almost simple and obvious, because I'm trying to focus on the big business picture, how to deliver product which would be useful. And as I walk through, I start picking the right thing. So many years ago, we were using OpenCalais for tagging. So each content which we ingest, we tagged, and so that was to extract the language entities for each content. So I'm always trying to focus more on the actual functionality and then pick the right technology and make it in such a way that it can be easily replaceable with, if there is something new, better, well, let's use something new and better in the future. And I'm sure I jump a little bit forward, but that's how we start working together, right? Because we needed to achieve certain functionality. And one of them was, so I mentioned that everybody can create a dashboard, but the dashboard can contain hundreds, if not thousands, articles. And there's just no human way how you can go through so many pieces of content and make more sense out of it. And so we wanted to simplify even further for people so they could create their own report, like insight. Tell me what's the latest on this topic and provide me a quick summary. And so there was question, how do you extract the right the content which is relevant to what you're looking for, and how you can automate this in such a way that it's repeatable and it can produce nicely formatted insight where you can take and use again for quick read, quick study, sharing with your customers or what have you. And so that was a problem statement. And then, we start picking which pieces of technology would fit. And as I mentioned before, the QA, to create something which is repeatable over and over and over, which is reliable, which is in many instances with the large language models, it's very difficult to achieve something where you can say, yes, this is working. That's actually not trivial to do with large language models. And this is what, working together, we were able to achieve that. We have now a repeatable system where I have a content and I need to create an insight out of that content in a manner that it can be automated, it can be scaled.
I really love the insight that you gave in, and this is something that you probably we continue to tell a lot of CIOs that we engage. That technology is a means to achieving the outcomes, right? The most important piece, or probably I would say, in the puzzle, the most important piece to figure out is what is the outcome that you're trying to achieve, right? What are the problem statements specifically for your customers? So mapping out your actors, customers, right? What is the problem statement that each of these actors is facing, and then probably what are the outcomes that you're trying to solve, and then technology is the means that ties each of these together, right? So probably really, really love that thought, Vaslav.
Exactly.
My
You
favorite
are
part of
100%
the
correct.
my favorite part of the webinar is see the focus that we have at GoML and the differentiator that we're trying to probably bring to our customers is that, and Gartner just stated that as well, like in their report, that 95% of the agentic use cases that were started, probably earlier this year have been shelved, right? What we've identified as a challenge, right, Vaslav, and probably I think we've spoken about this in the past as well, is that customers are focusing on building and not, when I say building the solutions, right? Not focusing on how do they adapt these solutions for their clients, right? So that's what GoML is trying to do through our boilerplates module, right? How was your experience probably engaging with the team in the solution that we just spoke about, right? What do you think probably, how, obviously how was your experience, but what, was the differentiating factor that you saw working with someone like GoML in this space?
Yes, it was very difficult for you guys to work with me or with us because, imagine a crazy guy who wants to do something which other people don't do. But to your credit, or to the credit of GoML, your people really tried hard to listen to us, to understand what we say. And it was the ongoing dialogue where we went back and forth and say, okay, this is what we're trying to achieve. This is the end goal, and this is what we think. This is how it should work. But you are the experts. You tell us. And so it was this dialogue how we came up with even definition of what the solution should be and what the end goal should look like. And then we did step by step. It was I don't want to say it was easy. It wasn't easy because it was something new. Neither was done before, but there was the framework which we put in place and step by step progressing towards the ultimate goal. That made the whole thing totally workable. And and it was like, yeah, this is important. We have to focus on this. No, this is not important because we had limited time, we had limited budget, and we had to stay really, really focused on getting the things done. And this is what we achieved. That was for me the beautiful end was that I was really able to press a button, and we got the Hiswai insight. And it was like, wow, look at this, it's working. Yeah, this is always the pleasing part where you suddenly see that what you were imagining that the technology can do, suddenly the technology was doing for you. So yeah, it was at the end it was easy. Looking back, I don't know what was the challenge here.
And that's what we love doing with our clients, right? You obviously are closest to the business case that you have because you've probably thought of that problem statement very well day in day out, right? We bring in the light technology to probably help you on that, right, Vaslav? So I'm really happy to hear probably that both the combinations of match made in heaven worked out well, and I'm pretty sure we'll grow this further and faster. We've understood or we've probably seen what the use case does, right? I'm really excited. I'm pretty sure our viewers are as well. To look at what Hiswai is capable of, right? So why don't we probably do a quick demo showcase first of the solution?
Sure, happy to do that. So this is the homepage. Hiswai, as I mentioned, we really focusing on individual customer, right? That's why we say it's your personal web. And the first thing which you can go and you can see, I mentioned the dashboards. So there are many hundreds of dashboards which people can go and scroll and see. So everybody's interested in artificial intelligence. So you can go and click on View Dashboard, and right away you get the overview of the content which the dashboard contain. And then you can see that there are the articles which you can see and say, okay, these are the most relevant. You can easily switch to the newest one. And as I mentioned, for each article or for each piece of content, we create the tags. So then you can start filtering the rest of the content based on the tags, the entities or keywords, whatever you call it, and then you can start focusing on a certain subsection of the topic you are interested in. And if you want to see how all these things relate together, so this is everything what relates to the topic of artificial intelligence within the context of the dashboard. And then you can start, again, filtering based on the individual topics or the keywords. And of course, this is public dashboard, and you say, it would be great if I can right away get the same thing and start using it. Well, nothing prevents you. You just click here, you put your email address, and right away you get your own copy of the dashboard, and you can start using it. Again, we try to make the onboarding as simple as possible. There's no password. There's only email. To log into your dashboard. We don't ask for any other information, just email, and only for the reason of you logging in. That's it. So that's that would be the dashboard. And as I mentioned, then you have the insights where we pre-built some of the reports for individual dashboards. So you can go here and you can see we have, 40, 50 Hiswai insights here. And for the friends of GoML, you can download them with a discount of with a coupon called GoML, and you get 50% discount on all the reports. So great opportunity for the friends and family of GoML. And as you can see, there are many reports which might be relevant right now to you, and you can click. You can see the preview. You see the table of content and the executive summary. So even if you don't buy the insight, you get a quick highlight of what the rest of the report is. And if you like to be up to date on various technology topics, we have also newsletters where, again, with simple email and name, you can join, and then you will be getting once a week a newsletter of your choice. So that's what Hiswai can quickly do for you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was busy using the coupon code that you had given, Václav. So I've already probably signed up. But this definitely is very helpful, especially for folks like myself who consume a lot of content, right? Václav, and create a lot of content on top of this unstructured content as well, right? So I'm definitely probably happy to see how I'm going to start consuming this. I already do, right? But I'm going to use my 50% coupon code. But any parting thoughts that we have for our viewers? How do you think they can probably start signing up? I know we already probably have a sign-up option on our website and so on and so on, but any parting thoughts for our viewers, Václav, before we probably close the webinar?
Well, we'd like to hear from anybody who's looking for information and who would like to, by using information smartly, get ahead. And hear what they like to use, how they like to use, because as I emphasize, it's your personal web. So we want to build all the features and functionality into the system which are relevant and important to our customers. That's the most important thing. Really focus on the customer and provide them with something which makes them better.
I love that tagline. It's your personal web. I'm going to probably use it a lot of places. Thanks, Václav, for doing this session, very informative session. And thanks for, first of all, giving 50% discount to friends and families of GoML. I would encourage everyone to use it. I've already used it. Really looking forward to how the product probably shapes. I'm pretty sure it has a lot of promising value, right? But I really appreciate, Václav, you coming on the show today, and thank you for doing this today. To all our viewers, thank you for joining in. Again, we continue the series. The focus over here is like what we discussed with Václav. We're going to bring a lot more interesting stories in the future as well, in terms of how our customers are leveraging GoML, especially generative AI technology, to go live better, faster, solving more problems. Thanks, Václav, again. Thanks, our viewers. Signing off.
Pleasure. Thank you. Enjoy.